They always called me helpful, like that was the highest title I could reach. We were 3 courses into Victor and Elaine's 38th anniversary dinner at Shoreline Pavilion. Crystal glasses, waiters in black aprons, a piano player in the corner doing soft versions of Sinatra. The kind of place where folks speak quieter, like the carpet's listening. Quick note, before we go further, tell us, where are you watching from? My name's Darren Cole. I'm 56 now, and I'm telling you about the night I stopped pretending. I was in the back corner of the ballroom, checking cables for the tribute slideshow I'd put together. I'd offered, thought it might get me a little credit, but no. To them, I was just the guy who knew gadgets and tools, like I lived in a shed with extension cords for friends. Marla, my wife, stood 3 chairs away at the long head table, laughing along with her brother Nolan. He was mid-story about some complicated spine surgery, full of hand gestures, like he was building the patient from scratch. Her sister Paige was on the other side, soaking up praise for her first big case, something about contract fraud and how she smelled it a mile off. No one asked what I was working on lately. That wasn't unusual. At dinners like these I stopped offering. They never cared. Then Elaine tapped the mic between toasts. That mic was meant for a sweet thank you, a line about long marriages and shared blessings. Instead, she leaned forward like she was telling a secret and said, "Into the damn PA system. We wish our daughter had never married you." For a full second, the whole room froze. Forks mid-air. A waiter paused mid-pour. Even the piano guy's hands hovered over the keys like he wasn't sure if he should keep going. I didn't blink. I didn't look down. I just pushed my chair back, slow and steady like I'd rehearsed it, and stood up. "If you don't want me here," I said, "watch how gone I can be." Marla didn't look at me. Paige bit her lip and turned toward her wine. Victor made this small, helpless shrug, like the damage was already done. Nolan smirked. A month before that night, I was at Victor and Elaine's place to drop off sample layouts for the party program. Their house always smelled like lemon cleaner and old money. Everything shined, nothing felt lived in. Elaine waved me toward the dining room and said, "Just leave it on the buffet," like I was delivering a pizza. I set the folder down, and that's when I saw it. Another folder, half hidden under a glass dish of peppermints. My name was on the tab, not my nickname, not Darren. My full name, neat and centered, like it mattered. Curiosity didn't knock. It kicked the door in. Inside were printouts. Bank headers, transfer confirmations, our joint savings account, the one Marla and I built dollar by dollar, skipping trips, saying no to upgrades, planning a small house expansion and a shop of my own someday. The balance wasn't just low, it was carved up. $46,800 gone, 16 transfers spread over 4 years. The labels were polite lies. Family assistance, loan consolidations, exam fees, emergency tuition. I sat down hard in one of their dining chairs and traced routing numbers with my finger. Nolan's consolidation popped up again and again. Paige's bar prep fees. A bridge retainer when her firm delayed her start date. Each transfer had Elaine's signature as temporary support. 7 had Marla's co-authorization. 7. Then I saw the sticky note. Blue ink. Careful handwriting. The same hand that wrote church thank you cards and Christmas envelopes. His woodworking won't ever be more than a side thing. Focus on the real returns. I stared at it until my eyes burned. I'm a cabinet maker. I draft, mill, finish. I measure twice and cut once because mistakes cost real money. I'd been saving to open a small shop, Cole and Sons, even though I don't have sons. That line didn't just insult me, it erased me. I slid everything back the way I found it and left without saying goodbye. After that, I started paying attention. At dinners, Nolan was introduced as the surgeon, Paige as the attorney, me, Marla's handyman husband. They'd chuckle like it was a private joke I wasn't in on. When I mentioned a commercial bid I was putting together, Victor would pivot hard to golf or property taxes. Elaine would ask if I'd fixed their pantry hinge yet. I stopped talking and started listening. In their garage, I dug out old home videos under the excuse of digitizing memories. I switched on my phone's recorder and let it run in hallways, kitchens, back porches. They forgot I was there fast. Elaine said, "If Marla had picked better, we'd be in Boca by now." Victor said, "At least the other two are ROI positive." Nolan laughed and said, "Give him a year. He'll be crawling back for a loan." Paige said, "Practice husband taught her what not to do." I collected emails and texts too. Screenshots of the transfers. Marla's message to Elaine, "We'll replace it next quarter, Mom." Victor's reply in a separate thread. No paper trail beyond this thread. I labeled everything. Dates, amounts, sources. I wasn't guessing, I was counting. Back in my shop, surrounded by clamps and sawdust, I cut a test tribute video. Soft piano, family photos, smiles, vacations. The kind of thing people dab their eyes at and forget by dessert. Then I duplicated the file and built a second half. Bank statements slid onto the screen. Audio clips played over black frames. Photos of my finished work followed. The walnut credenza for the library. The maple island with hand-cut dovetails. The conference table that took me 90 hours. Pieces they never once shared or praised. I offered to handle the slideshow to save them the vendor fee. Elaine didn't even look up. "Don't make it weird," she said. "People like classic." Classic meant no surprises. A safe, shiny, flattering version of themselves. I nodded like I agreed. The night of the party, I sat at the tech booth with Ray, the pavilion's AV lead, former Marine, keeps his beard tight, his mouth shut, and his eyes on everything. I handed him a labeled thumb drive, SLIDE_A38. But the real file, the full one, was already loaded onto the venue's laptop, tucked into a generic folder and pre-linked to a cloud drive that would go live 35 minutes after I walked out. Ray glanced at the thumb and raised an eyebrow. "Backup," I said. He nodded once. Didn't need more. I'd built 3 backstops. First, an email draft to Victor's top construction clients, Nolan's hospital board, and Paige's mentoring committee. Each message included linked files, screenshots, and time-stamped notes. Nothing emotional, just receipts. Second, a scheduled post to my business page. Caption read, "What family support looked like when you weren't the investment." Third, a mirrored upload to a burner account, in case they tried to flag the originals. All timed, all clean. That afternoon, while they were in hair and makeup or fake laughing over cocktails, I rehearsed the sequence with Ray. We sat in the dim ballroom, with the lights low and the speakers hot. The opening minutes looked like a Hallmark ad. Wedding photos, beach trips, baby Nolan grinning like a model, soft piano, sepia tones, real tears if you didn't know better. Then I showed Ray the hard cut and one still. A bank statement overlaying a silent clip of Elaine wagging her finger at Marla. He watched for maybe 5 seconds before blinking slow. "If you're doing this," he said, "commit." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I spent the next hour loading everything onto my phone. Timers set. Everything was queued. All I had to do was leave. I turned off every ringer, every alert, no second guessing. Around 7:40, Marla stopped by the booth. Peach dress, eyes flicking side to side. She leaned close, whispered just loud enough for me to hear. "Don't make tonight about you." I held her stare and nodded once. Ray rolled his chair back from the soundboard and stretched his neck. "You locked in?" he asked. I tapped my screen. "Tight as it gets." He didn't smile, but he didn't look away either. Just adjusted his headset and said, "Let me know when to fade." By 7:50, the ballroom was packed. A soft buzz floated over the clink of forks and glasses. Victor moved through it like a politician at a donor dinner, clapping backs, laughing a beat too loud, shaking hands like they meant something. Elaine glided behind him in a silver wrap that sparkled every time she turned toward a new face. Her smile said, "Gracious matriarch." Her eyes said, "Don't touch my purse." Nolan held court by the bar, dark suit, no tie, collar open. He told a story about a spinal fusion he almost didn't take because it was too risky. Said the whole room gasped when he pulled it off. A group of women nodded like he was handing out oxygen. Paige was surrounded too, flipping between clerkship offers like they were baseball cards. "Federal pays less," she said, "but the doors it opens." Everyone around her leaned in, heads tilted toward them like plants chasing sunlight. And me? I moved plates, checked the projector cable again, passed out folded napkins to the servers who didn't know where the extras were stashed. Invisible's not always a curse. It's a superpower if you use it right. I made sure my angle to the exit was clean. Path clear. Sightline to the AV booth open, phone in my pocket, timer set. Victor's business partner raised a glass first. "Here's to 38 years of excellence," he said, "in marriage, in family, and in community." That set the tone. Warm, smug, rehearsed. Nolan stood next. "Mom and Dad taught us that sacrifice matters," he said, gesturing like he was scrubbing in. "They showed us how to work hard and invest in each other." People clapped. Paige followed. "They raised us with values," she said, voice syrupy. "Not just what looks good on paper, but what is good." The table lit up with polite laughter. Some woman near Elaine wiped a tear. Then Elaine stood, holding the mic like a prayer book. "We're blessed," she said, slow and serious. "This family, this life. It wasn't easy, but we built it, together." Her eyes scanned the table, landed on me, and stuck. "Some choices," she added, "we'd redo." A ripple of chuckles. Then she leaned forward, both hands bracing the tabletop mic, and let it rip. "We wish our daughter had never married you." No shock, no gasps, just silence thick enough to chew. A man across from me blinked like he didn't hear it right. Someone's fork hit a plate. Marla stared down like maybe her salad could explain how we got here. No one defended me. They looked at me like I might explode. I stood. "If you don't want me here," I said, "watch how gone I can be." I pushed my chair back, buttoned my jacket, and walked smooth toward the aisle. Ray caught my eye from the booth. I gave him a small nod. He didn't move much, just settled his headset into place and flexed his jaw. He knew what was coming. Outside under the portico, the air felt cooler, like the night was giving me space. I stopped near a marble column and checked my phone. 7 minutes to the first email push. Everything's still green. I turned my ringer off and slid the phone back into my pocket. No speeches, no tears. From inside, the bass from the speakers and the chatter softened, like a radio left on in another room. Laughter rose and fell in waves. The party kept breathing without me. The pavilion had an employee smoking nook by the service door, metal bench, sand bucket, yellowed sign about breaks. I stood there alone. My hands were steady, the way they get right before you cut a joinery line you can't undo. Calm doesn't mean doubt, it means focus. My phone buzzed once in my pocket. I checked it. Ray. "They're calling for the tribute." Another buzz followed right after, from a number I didn't recognize. "Come back in and apologize." I didn't reply to either. I pulled the phone back out and opened my business page draft. The caption stared at me. "Every shop has sawdust. Here's theirs." I hovered over edit, thought about softening it, thought about how many times I'd swallowed words to keep the peace. I locked the screen and left it as is. Another buzz. "Ray, stand by." I leaned against the column and pictured the room. Lights dimming, chairs turning, Elaine squeezing Victor's hand, Nolan smirking, Paige checking to see if anyone important was watching. Then Ray texted one word, rolling. I could see it in my head clear as a cut line. Wedding photo first. Everyone smiling too wide. Baby Nolan, baby Paige, family vacations, champagne toasts, perfect lives stitched together with piano music, the room loosening, people sighing, settling in. At 2 minutes and 13 seconds, the screen was set to go black. Victor's voice would come through clean and loud. "Marla married down. We're carrying him." After that, the bank statements would slide in, red boxes, dates, amounts. Elaine's note in her careful blue ink. Better to invest in the real futures. I didn't pray. I didn't ask for strength or forgiveness. I checked my watch. 6 minutes to the emails, 20 to the cloud folder. 35 to the cross posts. Inside, applause swelled as the opening photos played. Out here, a staff member pushed through the service door and lit a cigarette, nodded at me without curiosity. I nodded back. Then I lifted my wrist again, watched the second hand click forward, and let the clock do its job. Ray's texts came fast. Silence. Confusion. Victor standing. I stayed where I was, back against the cool stone, eyes on the dark parking lot. Inside, the music cut. Then the screen went black. Elaine's voice came through the speakers, clean and loud. No piano under it this time. He'll never scale that cabinet hobby. I heard gasps leak through the doors. Someone said, clear enough to cut through the wall, "Is that her?" The screen lit up again. White background, black text, a clean account sheet. Cole household savings, current balance, $4,218. Prior balance, 51,018 red boxes snapped into place around 16 transfers. Dates marched down the side. Captions lined up neat and unforgiving. Nolan's consolidation, Page's bar fees, bridge retainer. The numbers didn't argue. They just sat there. Victor's voice layered over it, recorded at their kitchen table. ROI matters. He'll never notice. He doesn't handle finances. A sharp laugh from Nolan in the background. In another clip, Page said it like a joke she'd told before. He's training wheels. Then the photos shifted. My work filled the screen. A walnut credenza. I built for a public library, edges tight, finished deep enough to drown in. A maple island with hand-cut dovetails, no filler, no shortcuts. A conference table that took me 90 hours start to finish. Pieces they never once came to see. Over the images, Elaine again. Calm, certain. If Marla had picked better, we'd be in Boca by now. The room didn't breathe. The final hit played last. The line from earlier that night, caught clean by the tabletop mic. "We wish our daughter had never married you." It froze on a still frame of me at the table, hands folded, not moving. Then it cut to a photo from my wedding day. Me off to the side, holding someone else's coat while everyone else leaned into the camera. That's when the room tore open. A man in a sport coat shouted, "You robbed him!" A woman near the cake slapped her hand over her mouth. Someone laughed once, sharp and wrong. Victor bolted for the projector cart. 3 phones were already up, filming. Someone yanked a cable. The screen flickered, then kept playing. The mirrored laptop kicked in without a hitch. Ray didn't move. He stood at the console, hands flat, eyes forward, and let it run. The final slide came up plain and centered. Then it faded to black. Right on time, my phone vibrated. The first batch of emails went out. Subject lines stayed boring on purpose. Regarding the Cole-Hartwell partnership. Links, screenshots, dates, no commentary. The body text was short. If you care about integrity in bids as much as I do in builds, you should see this. Inside, voices stacked on top of each other. Accusations, defenses, people who just wanted a better angle to watch it burn. Lines formed fast, not for cake, for answers. My phone buzzed again. Marla. I let it ring until it stopped. Another buzz. Nolan, then Page. I didn't pick up. 35 minutes after I walked out, the cloud folder went public. The business page post followed, then the burner account. Shares multiplied quick. Comments split down the middle. Some called me bitter, vindictive, unstable. Others wrote things like, "Been there," and "Don't back down," and "About time someone showed receipts." I shut my eyes and listened. Through the thick doors, I could still hear it. The chaos, the arguing, the sound of a family trying to shove toothpaste back into a tube. For the first time since I married into that room, I wasn't trying to fix anything. I wasn't explaining. I wasn't shrinking to fit the table. I wasn't asking for a seat. I already had one. Out here, alone, steady, with my name on it. By sunrise, my page had blown up. Comments stacked like cordwood. Shares kept climbing. A regional news blog posted the headline, "Anniversary gone off the rails." Blurry clips, half-accurate names, A screen grab of Elaine mid-sentence with her hand frozen like she could block the truth. My inbox turned into a circus. Angry cousins, neighbors I hadn't heard from in years, 2 reporters fishing for quotes, and 3 men I'd never met who said their in-laws pulled the same kind of family-first theft. One wrote, "Thanks for going first. You gave the rest of us a spine. Nolan called first." His voice dropped low and tight like he thought that made him scarier. "You wrecked my standing," he said. "Do you know what you've done?" I let a second pass. "I posted your words," I said, "with the bank trail right behind them. If your standing can't handle that, it's not my lumber that's warped." He hung up without another word. Paige tried next. Her tone had more fear than fire. "My firm asked if there's more," she said. "They're worried about optics." "There's lots more," I said. "But what I put out is enough." "You could have talked to us," she said, softer now. "I did," I told her. "For years. You didn't hear me." Click. Victor waited until noon. He didn't say sorry. He said, "This can be managed. Take it down, and we'll tell folks it was edited in bad faith. Say you're under stress, we'll get ahead of it." I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because I'd heard the line before, just dressed different. "You want me to be the scapegoat one more time?" I said. "Pass." He switched gears, tried the provider guilt. "My name's on 3 clinics," he said. "Your post is costing people jobs." "I'm not the one who used theft to look generous," I told him. Silence. Then he said, "I'll pray for you." "Don't," I said. "I'll spend that energy fixing your ledgers." Elaine didn't call. She sent one line in a text. "You killed our family." I stared at it for a while, then archived it. No reply. No fight left to pull from. Late afternoon, Marla showed up at the shop. She didn't knock, just stood in the open doorway. Eyes red, but makeup still on. Hands shoved deep in her coat pockets like she needed something to hold on to. "You humiliated us," she said. I looked at her. No heat in my voice, just the facts. "I said 3 times we weren't replacing the savings until we both agreed where it went," I told her. "You signed 7 transfers without me." Her voice cracked. "It was my parents. I had to choose." "You did," I said, and that was that. The next morning, I opened my inbox, and there it was. A subject line I read twice to make sure I hadn't imagined it. "Saw your tables. We want a feature." The sender was the director of the Tri-County Home and Trade Expo. He'd seen the video clips, followed the links to my page, clicked through the gallery. "We'd like to comp you a booth," he wrote. "Stories cut through noise. So does quality. People will want to see where you stand." I stared at it for a long time before breathing. I took the booth. For the first time in years, I stopped apologizing for the space I took up. I ordered new cards, just Cole, No and Sons. No last names that weren't mine. A new logo, clean, simple. Raise my prices too. Not to be difficult, just to reflect the work. 2 days later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. A man cleared his throat on the line and said, "We're done with him." It was one of Victor's old commercial clients. "We need conference tables in 2 locations," he said. "Can you quote?" "Yes," I said, and I meant it like a promise to myself. The trade expo smelled like lumber and fried onions. Families, contractors, architects, retirees all packed into the fairground center. People wandered past booths of siding samples, mini barn models, and paint catalogs. My booth sat along the north aisle. Nothing flashy, just 2 pieces and my name on the banner. Cole, that was it. I brought a 7-foot white oak table, smooth finish, waterfall edge, grain matched down the legs. Beside it, a walnut media wall I designed to hide cords clean and flush. No gaps, no shortcuts. People walked up slow, like they weren't sure what they were looking at, then touched the wood like it might still be warm. "You made this?" a guy asked, hand on the oak. "Every inch," I said. A local news crew wandered past mid-afternoon. The anchor spotted my name and raised a brow. The camera guy lingered. "You the anniversary guy?" she asked. "I'm the cabinet maker," I said. She nodded and moved on. Orders started trickling in. A bar owner wanted 8 tops and a host stand. A woman building a co-working space asked about a live edge conference table and cubby storage that didn't look like an afterthought. I said yes to what fit, no to what didn't, kept my lead times honest, didn't underquote just to land a check. 2 weeks later, I signed the lease on a bigger workspace, 15 minutes from my old garage. Nothing special. Concrete floor, wide loading door, enough natural light to work without a headache. I painted one wall white and left the rest alone. I hired a part-timer, Benito, 19, always early, always asking questions that made me pause and explain what mattered. He reminded me of a younger version of who I might have been, if someone had made space for it. I stopped wearing my wedding ring. No announcement, no panic. I just left it in a drawer with old screws and backup driver bits. A week after that, Marla texted me a photo of it. The caption was a single question mark. I replied, "We'll do this the right way. Lawyers, not hallway arguments." She didn't text back. A month in, Ray showed up to the shop with a travel mug and a quiet smile. "You know you changed the room that night," he said. I wiped sawdust from my hands and leaned against the bench. "I didn't win," I told him. "I just told the truth." Ray took a sip and shrugged. "That's winning enough." The payback didn't come loud. It came in paperwork and silence. Victor's business partner called and asked if I'd give a statement, something about altered bids on a municipal job. I told him I'd share the emails and keep my part factual. He said that was more than enough. Nolan got reassigned. Non-elective rotations, the article said, while they assessed public trust. He posted a statement about privacy, integrity, and professional boundaries. The comments did what comments do. Paige's mentors paused a committee appointment. One of them had received my original email. She scrubbed her social accounts for a week, then came back posting beach sunsets and grateful heart captions like it never happened. Elaine ran into my sister at the grocery store, told her, "He's cruel." My sister, who used to roll her eyes about how quiet I was around Marla's family, looked her in the face and said, "He's my brother." That mattered more than I expected. Mid-November, an older couple came by the shop. They didn't say much at first, just ran their hands along the walnut wall like it held something more than wood. After a minute, the husband cleared his throat. "We lost a son," he said. "We said ugly things once. Took us 10 years to start making it right." I paused, not sure what to say. "I'm sorry for your loss," I said. The wife stepped forward. "Don't confuse taking back your life with cruelty," she told me. Then they bought the wall, full price, no questions. I walked them out, watched their car leave the lot, and sat down on the step outside. That moment felt like a kind of permission. Like I wasn't just reacting anymore, I was building forward. My lawyer filed the paperwork for legal separation. No drama, just 2 names on paper, and a split that already existed in every real way that counted. I didn't fight for the house, didn't want it. I wanted the shop, my tools, my back, my name. At night, I'd open the bay door and let the place cool down. The quiet had weight, but it didn't press on me. I'd sit on a stool, run my hand across a fresh board, and stare at it like it held the next piece of the map. They'd spent years telling me who I wasn't. I finally got the chance to show them who I am. 2 months after the pavilion night, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered out of habit. It was Victor. He sounded smaller, like someone who'd gotten used to hearing no. "The phones don't ring like they used to," he said. "People talk." He asked me to meet him in the park behind their subdivision. I didn't ask why. I just said, "Okay." The sky was low and gray when I pulled up. Leaves rattled across the sidewalk. Victor stood by the gazebo. No tie. Shoulders sloped. He looked like a man waiting for something that already passed him. "Elaine doesn't sleep," he said. "She cries. She says she'd take it back." I watched his face, saw the performance flicker behind the words. "You telling me that for my sake?" I asked. "Or yours?" He looked away. "Both." Then he tried another angle. "You could help us fix this," he said. "If you wanted." I didn't move. "I did help," I said. "I turned the lights on. That's as far as I go." He nodded slow, like that was the last line on a script he hadn't rehearsed past. A minute later, I heard footsteps on the gravel. Marla. Hair pulled back, no makeup. Hands shoved in her coat pockets like she needed something to hold. She stopped just short of me. "I picked them over you," she said. "That's what I did." "Yeah," I said. "You did." We stood a foot apart with 10 years of weight between us. "If I asked for a second chance," she asked, "would you try?" I thought about all the dinners where I laughed at the right times, where I bit my tongue every time they introduced me like a joke. I thought about that sticky note in blue ink. Better to invest in the real futures. I thought about the transfers she co-signed and the silence that followed. "I don't hate you," I said. "I just like myself more now." She didn't cry, didn't flinch. She nodded once, like she'd been waiting to hear me choose me. We didn't hug. I walked to my truck and drove straight to the shop.